Hey, this is Matt Wimmer from Road to Precision. In this video, we are continuing our series on Cloudflare, and we're specifically going to be looking at the implementation and the steps that are involved in setting up and getting it running to run between your supervisor that's living in the cloud or living on an area that's publicly accessible on the internet and your end users. So let's jump in and take a look at it. All right, so I just wanted to give a really brief overview again here of what we're doing. So we're basically implementing what's going on here in this little diagram. We're going to be setting up Cloudflare between our origin server, which is our supervisor. Again, important to remember that this needs to be living on the internet, it needs to be publicly accessible on the internet. In other words, you have an IP address, you can hit it from anywhere on the internet. So we're going to put Cloudflare between that server and the internet at large so that it's between our end users and the server. So let's go right into it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull up cloudflare.com and we're going to sign up for an account. If you don't have one already, when you go to that sign up page, you're just going to hit this add a website under the free tier. And then it's going to ask you for some information, and you're going to do your thing. If you already have an account, you're just going to hit login. I already have an account, so I'm going to log in, and I have my credentials saved, so let's throw those in there. We'll log in. All right, so we're in now, and we've got a whole bunch of different options. This may look slightly different if this is your first time using Cloudflare. It may go directly asking you to set up a website. We're going to actually not set up a website first. We're going to register a domain. So we're going to come over here to the domain registrations, and then we're going to do register domain. And I'm going to do something like BP demo. Actually, no, let's just do this. bpsupervisor.com. And we're going to search. And it's going to come up with a whole bunch of different options. But I can see actually just bpsupervisor.com is available without the dash. We're going to roll with that. Actually, no, I lied. BP Supervisor is available. They just pulled it out to the side. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to say yes to that. And I'm going to put in my information. This is all required information by ICANN, which is the overall organization that does the registration of domain names for the internet. So no matter where you sign up for your domain name, you're going to have to put this information in. But pretty much every domain registration provider now will hide this information from the wider internet. All right, so my domain name is registered now, and I can go in and manage that domain name. So we're going to hit the manage the domain here. And everything looks good from this perspective. This is just all our details on the domain name registration, which we don't care so much about. So now I can go over to my websites, and I can see that that website is now listed. I'm going to select it, and this is where all of our configuration, all of the magic actually happens. So the first thing that we'll do is just go through the quick start guide. This just enables some automatic features. You can turn on and off depending on your needs. And we're just going to add most of these things in. A nice feature to use that I like to use is this always use HTTPS that's available to us. Basically what that does is if you just type in your domain name and you don't have like the HTTPS at the beginning, it'll automatically push you to the HTTPS because by default your browser is going to want to try to use the HTTP. Cloudflare will respond to the HTTP, but then forward you to the HTTPS. This means that on your supervisor, your Niagara side, you only have to have the HTTPS enabled, and this will handle the rest. So we'll save that. We'll save the defaults here, and we'll save that. So we're all set up on the protection setup side of things. The next piece that we want to do is set up our DNS. So in my case, I have an IP address for a supervisor that I want to be able to reach through Cloudflare, and that IP address is this. You can see I'm using a self-signed certificate here, so I'm getting this error message that it's an invalid certificate authority, and you can see that it's the default sort of certificate that's comes with Niagara. That's what I'm using in here. So I would like to set up Cloudflare to be used for that. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go into the DNS management, as I said, DNS, and then the records portion, and we're going to add in a record for this. This is going to live. This is going to be an A record, which means that we want to take the domain name and we want to forward you to an IP address. That's an A record, and our name for it, because we want it to be at the root, is just an @ and then you can see it. Cloudflare is going to make this a little bit easier for us. It's just going to spell out exactly what it's doing here in normal English words. And I'm going to put in my IP address for the IP address that I want to forward that route to. So now it's saying, okay, your bp-supervisor.com is going to point to this IP address, and it's going to have its traffic proxied through Cloudflare. That's what we want. And what that's enabled and disabled by this little selection box here, and we want it to be proxied through Cloudflare. We're going to hit save. So that's saved and done. The next thing to do is, and this is kind of unintuitive, is that a lot of people are used to typing in www. www is actually a subdomain, so we actually have to manually set that ourselves here. So for the name, we're going to make www, and then we're going to add in that IP address again, leave everything else the same, hit save, we're good to go. So everything is good here now on the DNS records management side. So all that this is doing now is saying, if you go to bpsupervisor.com, it's going to point your traffic to the IP address, but it's going to proxy that traffic through Cloudflare. So Cloudflare is going to give us all of those additional features through the domain name. So one of those features, and the main feature that we're talking about here, is that SSL certificate that renews, that we don't have to do anything with. It happens automatically. So we just want to make sure that we have our settings set properly for that. So in order to do that, on the left-hand side here, we're going to go to SSL and TLS. And by default, our encryption mode is going to be this flexible, which means that Cloudflare doesn't really care what our connection looks like between Cloudflare and the origin server. It's going to take whatever it gets and use it for there. We're going to bump this up a little bit because we already have a self-signed certificate at the supervisor. We're going to tell Cloudflare, hey, use that self-signed certificate and keep that in mind when you're pulling up our traffic. And it's going to do all of the work between Cloudflare and the end user. It's going to give us that fully signed certificate automatically. We don't have to do anything. So this should be all of the setup that we need to do on the Cloudflare side. If we did everything correctly, I should now be able to open up a different tab and go to bp-supervisor.com. Oh, supervisor.com. Now, before I hit enter here, one thing to keep in mind is that DNS changes don't happen automatically. The nature of DNS is that one place on the web of DNS servers makes a change, and that change has to get propagated out to the rest of the world, all of the other DNS servers out there. So I'm on a Verizon Fios connection, but I'm actually using a Google DNS server on my setup. So Google has to get that change for the DNS where it's going, where the bp-supervisor.com is going to IP-wise before this works. So if this doesn't work on our first shot, the likelihood is that we probably just need to wait 15 minutes or so and wait for that change to propagate out on the internet. So let's see. It worked. Change was already propagated. You can see that I didn't have to bypass through a certificate to say that I trust it. It's actually using a real certificate. If we go up here and we do connection is secure, certificate is valid, you can see that I actually have a Google certificate through Cloudflare for our domain name. Automatically, we didn't have to do anything at all. So that's basically it. One thing to keep in mind is that your IP address will still work, and it'll still work exactly the way that it's working now. It's pulling up our certificate that's in the supervisor directly. It's not getting that signed certificate through Cloudflare, and Cloudflare doesn't allow you, as we mentioned in the first video, Cloudflare doesn't allow anything other than our typical HTTP and HTTPS traffic, which means when you're connecting through Workbench, you have to use the IP address, which means that you're going to still be using the self-signed certificate there, but it's easy for us. We know how to handle that. Not a huge deal. Our end users now have a fully signed way to get into the supervisor and see everything with a signed certificate. Everything is secure. Everything is safe. And yeah. So hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully that was informative. We might have a couple other videos potentially here on some Cloudflare things. Maybe clear some things up. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments, and we can address those in a future video. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.